good afternoon to one and all. I, Assistant Professor Muktali Kukrakar, welcome you all for today's webinar titled Learning Music Online, organized by the Performing Arts Club of Vidya Vikas Mandals, Shri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, Margao, Goa, requesting all the participants to kindly put off their video and mute yourself till further instructions. All the participants are requested to post the questions in the chat box for a discussion during question and answer session. Now I request our Vice Principal, Dr. Ronnie De Silva, to welcome the virtual session.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Vidya Vikas Mandals, Sri Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, I welcome our very own Aniket Dadikar, who has been a BBA student with us just a few years back. Aniket is here with us to initiate us to learning music online, which which is a very apt self-learning exercise to keep one going in these lonesome pandemic times. Aniket is a professional singer, keyboardist, drummer, and in short, a multi-instruments player. In addition, he's also a fitness freak and a travel explorer. Aniket, we are delighted to have you amongst us and look forward to a very enriching educative experience in today's interaction with you. Nowadays, music is not only meant for entertainment, but also as a therapy for children and adults with special needs. Music is now used to treat people with physical, emotional, cognitive, and social challenges. One of our ex-BCom students, Savio Narona, conducts music therapy sessions at 4 hospitals in Bangalore and has made music therapy a well-paying career. I welcome you, Aniket. I congratulate Preksha, convener Cultural Council, and her team of Muktali, Sparsha, Seema, Samiksha, and Mayuresh for arranging this session, and my principal, Dr. Preeta D. Malia, for encouraging this initiative. I wish all the participants a very fruitful learning experience. Welcome once again, Aniket. Thank you.
The Council organizes various events and competitions for the students. To know more about the Council, I request Assistant Professor Preksha Choplekar, the convener of the Cultural Council, to brief about the Council.
Good afternoon to one and all. I, Assistant Professor Preksha Chopdekar, Convener of Cultural Council, welcome you all for today's webinar on learning music. The Performing Arts Club is a part of the Cultural Council. Under Cultural Council, we conduct several activities for the academic year, which includes several in-house activities and intercollegiate activities. For in-house activities, we have allocation competition, debate, poster making, quiz, singing competition, and many more. Under intercollegiate activities, we organize UN Bene quiz, Mahatma essay cum presentation competition. We also organize Fun Week along with the Student Council and Anantara, an intercollegiate event of the college. But due to this pandemic situation, activities are being conducted online this year. And even various intercollegiate events will be also organized online. I request all the participants who are part of our college, okay, to kindly participate in each and every activity that is being conducted under the Cultural Council. Once again, I welcome you all, and I also welcome our today's resource person, Mr. Aniket, for accepting our request to conduct a session on singing for the students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to introduce today's resource person. We have amongst us our own ex-student, Mr. Aniket Anand Dadikar. Aniket is a well-known singer, musician, and a music composer. He has his own YouTube channel in his own name and also runs his event management firm. He is studying Hindustani classical vocal from past 15 years from P.T. Ramrao Naik. Apart from singing, he is also a multi-instrumentalist and plays a variety of instruments. He has won more than 400 prizes in the field of singing. He has been awarded Tejas Swar, Goman Swar, Samrat Club Sitara, Ubharta Sitara, Ami Goikar, Jai Kisan Idol, and many more awards. He has performed in places such as Goa, Sindhudurga, Mumbai, Pune, Belgaum, Coimbatore, etc. Currently, he is completing his distance MBA from Symbiosis Pune. Requesting today's resource person, Mr. Aniket Dadikar, to take over the session.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aniket, and today I'll be sharing with you all a few basics about music. And I'm very sure you all are here to know about the same. And as I've been already introduced, so I don't need to introduce myself separately. So before we start, I would like to just tell you all a few things. So we have certain topics to be covered today, and like after each topic is done, like we have a chat box. So after each topic is done, I'll be telling you all to ask me some questions related to that particular topic. So if you all are having any queries or any questions, you all can just type it in the chat box, and I will answer to them as soon as possible. Yeah, so let's start about it. So the main motive of holding this particular webinar is because of music, and there are a lot of music lovers here today. I know that a few of the teachers are also there over here, and I'm very much kind of feeling great to present before them also. So, music. What is music? Music is something that is pleasant to ears. Something that what you hear, you feel blissful, you feel beautiful. It's a different feeling. So example I'll give you all. You all hear something, for example, a car passing by. That is also a sound, but that is not music, because that is not something that is pleasant to your ears, or it's not peaceful. Music is something, any instrument is played or any sound which makes you feel great. And there is something called as in music, we have certain called as sounds. Now for example, in sounds also we have different kind of sounds. Some are which are pleasant to hear, some which are not pleasant to ears. So pleasant to hear, which is that is called as music, because everyone likes to hear something that is very peaceful. So that is music in my terms. Now let's talk about basics about music. So when you talk about basics about music, in India we have two main categories. So I'll be speaking about them. One is the Indian and another one is a Western one. So what is the basic difference between Indian and Western? In India, majority of the music that is followed is Indian, because since we are from India, so we follow that more. Western music is something that has come from the west part, and it has been coming slowly now here, and it's somewhere or the other getting more popularized nowadays. People have left Indian music behind, and Western things and Western concepts are coming more, not only in the field of music but in other things also. So what is Indian music basically? In Indian music, in the earlier times, we had something called as we had like Tansen, and a lot of like kind of artists who used to present Indian music in the darbars and all. So now the point is why Indian music became popular. Since in older times, because there was no means of communication, and Indian music was something that was that was to be played for traditions, for festivals, etc. So we were only among that particular area what we knew about it. And to see about that, during the olden times, due to no communication or no such kind of facilities, the music which came from western side was not very much popularized here in India. But nowadays what is happening is, because of there are so many means of communicating to people, we can exchange data, we can exchange knowledge. So because of that, nowadays it's becoming very popular that the Western music is taking part into our Indian music also. And nowadays, if you go to see, like most of the Bollywood songs are there, they are mostly composed and based on Western beats and Western music. Now, let me just talk about Indian music a little more in detail. Now, if you go to see about Indian music, we have something called as different kind. We have different jatis into it. We have different, genres into that into Indian music also. So, before covering the next part, I'll just tell you all about it. Like in earlier times, we had different kind of gharanas in Indian classical music. Like we have Banarasi, then we have Gwalior, then we have Karnataki music also. So if you go to each place in each state, you will find different kind of Indian music. It is not that Indian music is the same. Every state or every particular areas have certain kind of gharanas, which is called as in Indian classical music. So that is what is important to be known. So you will not find the similarity. Like even if the rag is same, I will explain about the rag also in later this thing session. So even if the rag or the particular thing is same, you will not find the technique of it to be presented in the same way, because that is because of gharanas. So every gharana has its unique style. And talking about Western music now, Western music came in the early 90s, or you can say 80s also, because there is no proper evidence found, because there are a lot of songs which have been coming since then. And the difference between Indian and Western music is, in Indian we have basically something called as like a rag, wherein in Western music we have something called as notes. Now, for example, I will tell you the difference in what is note. A note is a particular what you can say, a particular chord, or you can say a particular tone. Now, in notes, we have in Indian classical music we have sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, and in Western music we have do re mi fa sol la si do. So now it is the same, but only thing the difference is the way how you pronounce it. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa and do re mi fa sol la si do is the same thing. It's not, nothing is different in that, but the ways and the techniques of teaching music in Indian and Western is different. Like when I'm very sure most of you all must be knowing about some Indian music. Some of them must have been also studying ragas and classical music. So we are taught over here in the terms of sa re ga ma pa, like sa re ga ma pa ma pa da. Like that, over there it is taught in the terms of do re mi fa. Now if you see, compare yourself being an Indian musical artist to a Western artist. If you ask any of the Western person or someone who's learning Western music, you will find something called as solfege. Now, what is solfege? The way how we have in Indian music sa re ga ma pa, similar ways even they have something called as solfege. Now, solfege is something like how you read out sa re ga ma pa when it's written on a paper on a note. Similar ways they read out in terms of solfege. And solfege is something that has 4 lines and it is drawn on top of that the notes. So it is a bit different, and I could say it is a bit difficult because it takes time to learn solfege. I myself, I have learned solfege for almost around 6 months. It took me time actually, because compared to Indian music, I feel Western is a little more complicated, but Western music has a lot of deep study into it. And universally, if you go to see nowadays, Western music is followed everywhere in all the countries. Indian music is followed in India, it's followed in outside countries also, no doubt. But if you go to say an universal approach to music, Western music is leading, because all the other countries are more modernized than us, and most of them are following Western music more than Indian music. But Indian music at the same time has a different flavor altogether. So you cannot compare exactly what it is there, but I'm just telling you all the difference between the both. So if you all are having any questions about Indian and Western music and the basics about music, you all can just type it in the chat box so I can just answer to it. Okay, so okay, we'll just wait for another 1 minute. If anyone is having, you all can just type the any query related to this particular topic. You all want to know about Indian and Western specifically, anything what you all want to know. Anything is there, you all can just tell. Otherwise, we can just move on to the next topic.
I request Parsha to handle the question and answer session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Sparsha Mandrekar. I'm an assistant professor in commerce. Uh, I will be taking the questions which are posted in the chat box. So we have received the first question, and the question is, how many ragas are there, and when they were introduced?
Okay, so this question is asked by Kushi Suchak. Okay, thanks for the question. It's a good question actually. If you go to see, ragas don't have any numbers because nowadays till date you don't know how many ragas are there, because every you can yourself, if you're a genius into music, you can invent your own rag. So there is no particular thing wherein there are like only so many ragas are there and so many jatis are there. No, because nowadays music is getting so modernized that people are inventing their own ragas. Like in rags also, I will be covering that later on. I'll speak about that later. So there is nothing called as for example, there is like only certain number of ragas are there and that is all it. No, you can invent your own rag and you can add it to the number of ragas also. So there is no particular kind of evidence that only so many ragas exist till date, because they are building up every now and then. Because we have 12 surs, Saregama Padhanisa, out of which we have Komal 4 and Komal 3, and we have one Tivra also. So you cannot, say get for example, we have only few rags which we should follow. No, you can invent your own. So that is one thing. And when they were introduced, if I'm not wrong, I think so they were introduced somewhere in the 14th century when it started altogether, somewhere around that. But can't say because we exactly don't know, because the evidence tell us that it is somewhere over there in the 14th century. Yeah. So that's the question. What is the next one?
Yes, I will read the next question. One of the participants has asked, they have a doubt with regards to the solfege, with regards to the lines and spaces. So if you could just elaborate on it, it would be helpful.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Solfege. Okay. Fine. One second. Now in solfege, as you have said, it has 5 lines and 4 spaces. Yes. Now, if you go to see solfege for all kind of instruments in Western, it would almost remain the same. For example, if you're using an instrument like it is a string instrument or for a vocalist, the solfege will remain the same unless and until there are some changes into it. And as you have said, it has 5 lines and 4 spaces. And between that particular thing, we have something called as symbols, which we draw on those lines and which makes us read notes. So that is what he has said. That's correct. That is the solfege thing. That's correct.
The next question is, in Indian music, which ragas are used mostly?
Okay, in Indian music, which ragas are? Okay, in Indian music, if to be very frank, I think so. Yaman is one rag. Okay, that is used very much commonly, which you will find it in lot many Bollywood songs. Actually, I have that topic to be covered later on, so I will speak about the songs and which how to identify songs and how which particular rag. So if you ask me a particular rag, that is Yaman, and I can also, there is one more rag called as Des. So Des also is used. But majorly, if you go to see, you will find Yaman. Like if you see like the very latest compositions also, which are being composed now in the Bollywood industry, Yaman is one rag which is playing a very important role, I feel. So that is used very much commonly. Yeah, next one.
The next question is, one participant has asked about the processing software for the audio. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Mayuresh. Yeah. So Mayuresh, the thing is, we have. I don't know if he's a sir. Sorry, sir, because I really don't know who all are posting the comments. So yeah. So like, I'm a music producer and I produce music as well. So I'll tell you about myself, what softwares I use. I actually have tried couple of softwares, but I use FL Studio and Cubase, and I used to use Logic Pro, but I've been not very much familiarized with that. But I feel if you want to produce some music, like basic music, if you want to produce, then you can even start with Audacity. Audacity is a good option to record basic music. If you're a little bit intermediate, or you're kind of, you want to do something better, you can try with FL Studio. If you want to do something really best, you can try Cubase also. So these softwares are very simple to use. All softwares are simple to use. You just need to look at it once. But very simplest software, if you ask me, that would be Audacity for processing. Yeah.
And we have got one more question over here.
Yeah.
So one of the participants is asking your opinion about how the Indian youths are, whether they are losing the interest in Indian classical music, and what advice you would want to give them.
Okay. See, I actually don't feel that we are losing the touch or interest towards Indian music, because I myself, I've performed Indian music because I have studied Visharad. I have done my Visharad, and I've been learning classical music from past 15 years from Pandit Ramrao Naik. And I don't find it boring as such, but I keep it until a certain limit. I just don't go on practicing the same, because I feel today it should not be boring. It feels boring though. I know that Indian music feels boring if you go to see only proper classical music, not the other music. So there is no chance of losing interest, because nowadays if you go to see, there are a lot of events, traditional events happening in the temples or in some, in some places. So over there Indian music is required. We cannot use Western music. So there won't be any end for Indian music, that's for very sure, because we have certain traditions which we have to follow, and which we have to present Indian music itself over there. And Indian music, if you go to see, classical is very important for any singer. If you all are willing to learn music or something, I would recommend you all to go for classical, because classical music is something that helps you to build your base. If you know classical, trust me, you all will be knowing to sing rest of the parts also. Like if you want to sing any light music, any Bollywood or any ghazal or anything, if you all are learning classical music, you all will be able to catch hold on rest of the parts very easily. So I don't think so. And my message would be to everyone would be not to lose interest. Don't do it on a stretch note. Keep it simple to you all. And if you all are learning music also, Indian music also, make sure that you all give it proper space. Don't go on practicing it continuously. Try to explore more parts also. So that will not make you all feel bored or lose interest. So that's my message. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So you can continue with your session. And if
Yeah.
any questions are asked, we will take it up later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so the next one is what will be covered is about different genres in music. Okay, now in India, let's speak about India only, because since we are from here, in India, in Bollywood, we have not only in Bollywood, in Indian music, we have a lot of genres. The first one is classical. So classical, we have already spoken about what are the notes and what is there exactly into it. So that is one. Another one is Bollywood music, which you all know. In Bollywood music also, there are a lot of things which are coming up. We have hip hop, jazz, we have EDMs also, which are being taken in between some of the songs. We have rapping, and a lot of things are there. So that is one genre. And another one is ghazals. Okay, ghazals are very important. They have come from the Arabian country to us. Ghazals are specially having certain words which are in Urdu. So you need to have a study about the few words also to understand what a ghazal is exactly. And ghazal is a form which was very much familiar during the mid-century, and we have certain good blessed singers also in India. We had Jagjit Singh, we had Ghulam Ali sir, then Anup Jalota ji, and we had lot many more ghazal artists. Now we have new, like if you ask about the Bollywood, who are the ghazal artists in Bollywood, you all must be knowing Pepon. Pepon is one of the ghazal artists. He started his career with ghazals, but now he's into Bollywood. So ghazal is also one of the very important genre, I should say. And then next one is Bhavgit. Okay, so if you go to see in Marathi section, now that's what we spoke about Hindi earlier. In Marathi, if you go to see, we have in Marathi, we have Bhavgit, Bhaktigit and Natyagit. Now, what is Bhavgit? Bhavgit is something that has bhav. Bhav means that is emotions. Now, any Marathi song which is from a movie, that is called as a Bhavgit. Okay. Now, what is Bhakti Git? Bhakti Git is something that is spiritual, that is for you're praying for the god or the goddess, which is basically, you could say any bhajan or any abhanga you can say, which has been played in the temples. That is Bhakti Git. So anything that is spiritual, which is having something related to God or some temple or some goddess or anything like that, spiritual, that is Bhakti Git. And what is Natya Git? Natya Git is something that was used and it is still used in dramas, in Indian dramas, what we call as natak. So in nataks, we use something called as Natya Gits. And to differentiate between them, Bhavagit has emotions, Bhakti Git has spirituality, and Natya Git has those dramatic effects. For example, Natya Gits are mostly fast, and they need a lot of riyaz to be done. Riyaz is equal to practice. So you need a lot of practice to be done, because in that you have a lot of tanas. I'll be coming to that also later. So, your voice has to be very much, crisp and clear when you're singing a Natya Git. So these are the different basic, I would like say, these are major genres which are there in the field of classical, in the field of music. That is classical, Bollywood music, ghazals, bhakti git, bhav git, and Natya Git. So if anything is there related to this, any other genre you all want to know, you all can just ask me.
Okay, we have one question now. That is, one of the participants has asked if there is any proper online source or a course to advance in the profession of learning music when offline learning is not convenient with regards to the time. So if someone does not have the time to physically go and attend classes, so can we go and learn it online? So what are the sources of online learning?
Okay. As an intermediate guitarist, I would say if you know to play a few things and if you know how to hold a guitar and if you have learned the basics about guitar, then only I feel you could go for online classes, because along with guitar, if you are talking in terms of guitar only, the main thing that comes is about holding the position of the guitar, how you sit. And because guitar is an instrument, that is something which has to be taught physically. So if you know basics about guitar, you know certain chords, or you know how to hold the guitar and basic things, then you can learn online. But if it is the first time go for you, you want to start it completely new, I would suggest you to do a offline class, not an online class so soon, because basics, as we say, roots, basics are very important. They are the roots of your formation. If you learn something wrong today, it will be difficult for you to change it in future. So that's fine. So if you're very new to it, I would suggest you to try offline courses first, and then if you know the basics about it, it will be easy for you to attend online and to learn the further things. But if you are just going as a new participant over there and trying to learn guitar, you may learn something wrong, because there are a lot of things which are associated with guitar. Because even I play guitar, I have learned guitar. So pressing the strings, strumming is there, chord work is there. So there are a lot of things are there into it. So I feel if you know basics, you could go for that. Yeah. Next one.
The person who asked the question is an intermediate guitarist, so maybe he wanted some guidance. Okay, the next question is, one of the participants has asked your view on the increasing use of Punjabi lyrics in Bollywood songs instead of proper Hindi words.
Okay. Actually, this is a very good, different question, actually, because nowadays this question is asked by Kushi Suchak. Okay. If you go to see nowadays in Bollywood music, you see, as you have said, a lot of songs are been mixed with a little Punjabi flavor into it. Like example, I will give it to you is "Main Tenu Samjhawa Ki." That song is from a Bollywood song from Hampi Sharma Ki Dulhaniya, I think so. And that song is also having a mix of Hindi and a little Hindi and more of Punjabi. This thing now, Punjabi is a language which is basically lyrics or language, you can say, that could be understood by a Hindi person also, because certain words are similar to Hindi. And I feel it's nothing harm as such to use Punjabi, language or that lyrics into Bollywood music, because it is a good language, I feel. And if you go to see, it has a lot of feeling. Those songs, Punjabi songs, if you have heard about them, because I have studied a bit about Punjabi songs also, and I have done certain compositions also about that same. So they have a different, like a feeling when you sing Punjabi lyrics, or if a song, you would find it a different feeling. So I feel there is no harm in that, and it's going good. So but if you go to see, like, there are a lot of Gujarati songs also, like, which are used in Bollywood music, where, like, considering Hindi and Gujarati as well. Like there was one of Darshan Rawal's Chok Aadha Tara that was there. So that was also kind of a mix of Hindi and it was a mix of Gujarati song. So that's what I said. It's getting modernized. Music is getting modernized. So there's no harm in using other lyrics in Hindi lyrics also. So I feel it's good. The next one.
Thank you, sir, for your input. So you may continue with your session.
Yeah. So the next part, what we are going to discuss is about concept of ragas in Bollywood music. Now, as someone had asked me a question earlier, how about ragas? Now let me speak about Yaman only. Yaman has, like in ragas, we basically have this thing Aroha and Avroha. Now what is Aroha? Aroha is something that goes on top, like Saregama Padhanisa. This is the Aroha, and Sani Dhapa Magarisa, which you come down in descending order. That is called as Avroha. So that is the very basic, identity of a rag, which has to be known by y'all if you all want to learn Indian music, classical music. So in Aroha, if you go to say in Yaman, we have Nire Gama Dhanisa. So like every raga has a different Aroha and Avroha. Like Sare Gama Padanisa is not the Aroha for all the rags. All the rags have different swars. Some of the rags don't have, certain swars also. They have only 5 or 6 swars in the Aroha and 6 again in the Avroha. So it is not that all ragas have all the swars into it. They only have a few swars into it. Some of them are skipped. So now if you talk about concept of Bollywood music and the raga, how it is used. In Yaman, I will tell you all which are the compositions in Yaman. If you go to see La Ishq is one of the composition from the Yaman rag. La Ishq, you all must be knowing that song. Then even we have like if you go to see in olden times, we had this thing Jabdeep Jaleyana, that is a Yaman composition. Then Ehsan Tera Hoga Mujh Par, that is a Yaman composition. Then we have this thing, which one? Mera Saya, that's also one Yaman composition. So I feel like if you go to see even ghazals, if you all must be knowing about ghazals, Ranjish Sai is one good ghazal. That is also into Yaman. So, Yaman is something which has been coming into Bollywood since very long. And to be very frank, Yaman is a rag which gives you positivity and energy. So, every raga has different mood. Like, for example, if you're using a rag and if that rag is having Komal Swar, then the rag goes in a little bit of, sad emotional mood. Wherein if you're having all Shuddha swars, as I told you in music, in Indian classical music, we have 12 swars, out of which 7 are Shuddha swar. Then we have again a few which are Komal swar, and we have one that is Tivrama. So if you're using the combination of both, that is the Shuddha and Komal, then it might be a neutral one. But if you're using mostly of Komal swar, then the rag's mood goes into a little kind of a sad mood or something that is not happy mood or something. For example, you see so many songs now in Bollywood music. For example, I can give you all any song like Main Tenu Samjhaunga Ki, let's take that song. Now that song is very blissful because there is no Komal swars into it more. Like on the same hand, if you take another song which you can take Ye Hausla Kaise Jhuke from the movie Door. If you hear that song, you will obviously feel that you go into that particular field wherein you feel like sad, or you feel that emotions are there because there is a lot of Komal swars used into that. So that is how a music is composed in Bollywood music. Like depending on the scene of the directors, the music composers ask them what has to be done, what kind of a song you all need. If you need a blissful song, they will make sure that they will use more of Shuddha swars, or if they need a little kind of intimidate song, they will use a few Komal swars into it. And if they want a totally sad song wherein they have to picturize it in such a way, they will make sure that they will use most of the Komal swars, so that when the public listen to it, they should feel that emotions are coming out, that there is some sadness in the particular song or something like that. So that is how it is applied. So it depends on the music director and the movie director how they decide to compose a song, or what kind of song they want to portray on the screen. So raga, I feel nowadays, if you go to see, like not everyone follows ragas because few of them don't have knowledge about it, or some of them have knowledge about it, but they just want to create open compositions. But in earlier times, there are a lot of songs which are composed based on particular rags only. So nowadays that tradition somewhere or the other is getting lost, I would say, because there are new things coming up, because we are mixing everything. We are mixing even the Western things and the Indian things, and because of that. So earlier raga used to play a very important role in Indian music, in Bollywood music as such. Anything else you all want to ask on this? You all can text in the chat box.
We have not received any questions as of yet, so sir, you may continue.
Yeah. So the next one is topic is which we are going to cover is about types of instruments. Okay. Now, if you go to see types of instruments, there are a lot of instruments, to be very specific. I will not go into details about it, it will take very long. I'll speak about Indian and Western instruments in all together. So under types, we have like strings, we have percussion, we have wind, then we have reed instruments and etc. Then we have drums also. Now, what is string instrument? Okay, the string instrument is something that is having strings into it. Like you all do understand what is string. So I will just show you all a few instruments over here. What are string instruments? Just a second. Just a second. Okay, are you all able to see the this thing screen which I have put on? Is it visible? Okay, yeah. So
Yes.
I will just show you all what are those instruments, what are the kinds of instrument. So if you all can see over here a picture which I've opened on the right hand side. So I'll do one thing. I have my keyboard over here. So I will just play a few instruments and show it to you all on my keyboard. So first thing what we have over here is a guitar. Okay, guitar is something which you all know how it sounds also. Still, I will show you. Under guitar also there are a lot of things. Like we have electric guitar, we have bass guitar, then we have rhythm guitar, we have acoustic guitar, then we have flamenco guitar, the classical guitar. There are a lot of guitars also. So I'll not go in detail about that, but I'll just show you a very common sound about guitar, how it sounds. So that is the sound of a guitar. This is the acoustic guitar, normal guitar, which is shown in the picture over there. Then we have another string instrument that is violin. So I know if most of you all must be knowing about it. So for those who don't know, I will just play a small part about it and show you all how it sounds. Okay, so that is how basically a violin sounds. The next one which you have is cello. Cello is also a similar kind of an instrument. Then we have something called as a harp. Okay, so I'll show you harp. Harp is an instrument that is very rare. Nowadays, people don't use it a lot. But in Western countries, it is still followed. So, yeah. So this is how a harp sound. It is usually a kind of a more treble-based instrument. It has bass strings also, but mostly it is usually a treble-based instrument. So this is about string instruments. So next part of instruments, which category of instruments, that is percussion instruments. Now in percussion instruments, I'll just show you all. Yeah. So let us just open this over here. So the first image which you all can see where I've kept my cursor, this is called as a bongo. Bongo is something that is that's a two bass instruments, and it is basically basically used by holding it into your lap, and it is played by holding it into your lap. It's a very small instrument. It's come from western side. Then we have second instrument over here, that is duff. Duff is something that is used in a lot of Bollywood music songs. You all must have known about that. This is tabla. The dagga is missing. This is only the one part of tabla. So this is tabla. This is an Indian instrument. Over here we have small instrument. There is a side rhythm instrument, you can say, which is used for side rhythm. Like it is having, I think so. I can't see that properly, but yes, there is a side rhythm instrument. Then this in the middle, which we have, that is called as a darbuka or a djembe. So actually there are different instruments in darbuka and djembe also, but it's one of the same kind. It is an African instrument. And then we have over here, that is a drum. This is the snare part of the drum. This is not the full part of the drum. This is a snare part. This is a tom over here. Yeah, so that is there. And yeah, so here we have xylophone, caves, triangles, snare drum, as I told you. This is a bass drum. So these are the parts of bass drum, and the snare drum is a part of a drum set. This is tambourine. Okay, yeah, this is a tambourine. Yeah, so this is a tambourine. Cymbal is also a part of a drum set. Then we have piano. So in piano, I will just show you all how how it sounds. So it's a normal piano. Now I'll just show you all play one tune and show it to you all. If you can identify it, you all can just see. Okay, I'll just play this much. If you all can identify the tune, which one it is. This is a Bollywood song, Agnipath movie. Yes, very correct. Okay, so the name of the song is, you all must be knowing the name of the song, so I don't need to take it. That is Abhi Mujh Mein Kahi. So, this is the way how it is used in Bollywood music. This kind of instruments are used as an intro part in the Bollywood music. So the next thing what we have over here is wind instruments. So I'll just show you all about wind instruments. So, yeah. So in wind instruments, we are having this clarinet. Clarinet is a Western instrument. It's not an Indian one. So I'll just show you how clarinet sounds. So clarinet is, see, now these wind instruments are kind of, close to each other. They sound very similar. So I'll just make sure it, y'all can hear it. I don't know if y'all will be able to get the difference, but yeah. So this is how clarinet sounds. Now I'll show you the sound of the flute. It is very much similar to it, but only thing a flute is a little mid or a bass based instrument. Clarinet is a little more treble based instrument. So you all can see the Indian flute how it sounds. So this is how Indian flute sounds. So if you go to see the difference between clarinet and in the Indian flute is more a bass kind of instrument, and clarinet is more kind of a treble instrument. So that is there. Then we have saxophone. Okay, saxophone here. Saxophone is a Western instrument again. You must be knowing this song. It's very familiar song. So this is how a saxophone sounds. And oboe and bassoon are similar to clarinet, so that is there. Then we have something called as a trumpet also. So I'll just show you trumpet. Trumpet and saxophone. These are also like clarinet and flute. These are kind of close to each other, but trumpet has a more crunchy sound, a more grudge kind of a sound. So I played saxophone right now, which you all heard. So I'll just play trumpet, a little small part of trumpet, and show it to you also how it sounds. What is the difference? You all can get it. So this is the sound of trumpet. So trumpet is kind of more louder. You can say it has more of grudge. It has that screech into it. So that is basically used in a lot of theaters and all in Goa itself. So yeah, that is trumpet. Okay, so I'll show you more. Let's talk about reed instruments. Okay. Okay, this is the last category of this particular this thing. So yeah, so these are the reed instruments which you all can see. Again, this is piccolo, flute, clarinet, oboe. Then we have bassoon, recorder. So under reed instruments, now we even have something called as harmonium. Reed instruments are basically, like I'll just show you all how it is. If you all can see, these are the reeds of the harmonium. It's an Indian instrument, yeah, see, you all can see here in the image, these are the reeds which are there in the harmonium. So what happens, basically reed instruments are close to wind instruments because they produce sound when air passes through them. So in this reeds of harmonium also it is the same thing. Like in flute we have holes, or in clarinet we have holes. Over here we have these reeds. And when what happens, we have something called as we say in Kokani, we say bhata. So when you just pull that, the air blows into these reeds and it produces sound. So this is one kind of a reed instrument, and these are the reeds of the harmonium. So when air passes by these holes, for example, these reeds, that is like these are the strips, it produces sound. So I'll just show you all the sound of the harmonium, how it sounds. Then if you go on the low, so this is how it sounds. Now if you can see over here, the down part of the harmonium that is used, of the reeds, this is the down part which you can see, it's the down. This is for the bass notes, and the one which is on the top over here, which you can see, that is for the treble note, that is for the high notes. So for example, if I play this, so this is a bassy note, so this is played from the down part. But whereas if I play on the high notes, so this is played from this top small notes. So this is the bass and this is the treble of it. Okay, so that is the basics about the types of instruments which are there. So if there are any questions related to this, any more instruments you want to ask about, you all can ask.
So there is one question
Okay.
with regards to the composition. So the participant is asking how the composer finds proper composition for the lyrics.
Okay. See, the composition is basically based on the movie director or the whatever picturization you want to do. For example, if you want to do a video on the song, then first thing that comes into consideration is about the mood of the song, the scene, what the director wants to do it. So the composition, like I compose songs for Konkani music and for Konkani movies also. I've composed Hindi songs as well of my own originals. And now how I work, I will tell you. I first ask the need of the director, how they want to picturize it. So based on that, we form the lyrics. For example, if it is a love song, the lyrics also would be something that will be very blissful and good. If it's something, it's like kind of a sad song, or it has to send some message, so lyrics is also written or drafted accordingly. And based on that, the composition is done. And in some cases, what we do is we do composition first and then we put the lyrics also. So how to go about lyrics and composition, that is totally dependent on the scene, or in the movie, how you, or in the video, how you want to picturize it, what is the basic concept of the song. So based on that, for example, if it is a love song, you cannot make it sad and make it, just look awful. So that's not possible. If it's a love song, it has to be something blissful. It has to be, nice and smoothing to the ears. So whereas if it is for example, if it is a sad song, you cannot make it very fast and make it a dance number, right? A sad song cannot be done like that. So it depends on the director or the music director or the movie director conceptualizing the particular scene and fitting it into the scene. So the main part over here is not about how you compose or how the lyrics is written. It is written according to the scene and the situation, and accordingly it is composed. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. One more question is, one participant has asked if you are teaching music and if you take tuitions for music.
Actually, to be very frank, I don't teach music, but yes, if you need any help, you can just contact me. You can just see this thing on Aniket Dattikar. You can just type it on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube. I have my channel. You all can message me on any of the social media links if you are having any queries, or if you all want to get in touch with me. So I can help you out with small things. Am I getting hang?
No, sir.
No. So if you all want something to ask or anything is there where you all want my help, I can help you all out with some small things. But I don't teach music because I really don't get time for this. Because when you take it as a teaching responsibility, you have to give time. So my schedule is a bit little different because I perform also professionally. So I be out also most of the time. So yeah. So if anything is related to music you all want to know, or if you all want any guidance or any help, I'll be always there with you all. You can just message me on any of the social handles here.
One more query is, one of the participants is asking if when someone is playing the clarinet, how do we know whether they are playing it correctly or not?
See, we cannot see. If you know this, study about an instrument, then you can catch hold of it. For example, tomorrow, if anyone is just playing anything, like for example, if I have to be very specific, I don't know how to play a clarinet, but I know to produce the sound, or I know how it is played because I played on my keyboard. So, like if you know the study about a particular instrument, you can know where the person is going off on his notes and where he's getting, stuck at a particular point or whatever it is. So a person who has a study about a particular instrument can catch hold of this thing. Otherwise, you won't be able to know that whether he's playing correct or whether he's playing wrong. No. But one thing that is very sure about any instrument is whatever you play, it has to sound good to your ears. Just pressing any of the keys or any of the notes and just blowing any notes, that will not create music. Music is something that is blissful to yours. So if you know music, what is music? That's what I told you at the very beginning of the session. If you know what is music, that is blissful, pleasant, you will obviously come to know that this guy is going or this girl is going somewhere or the other wrong. So that is how you all can know about it, whether he's playing correct or wrong. But you should know, or you should have the study about the particular instrument.
One more question is, one of the participants is asking whether we can sing perfectly without actually learning the classical music. Like, is it necessary to learn classical music to sing perfectly?
Yes, you can do that. Some people, I will say, they are very much God blessed. Without learning music also, they can sing very well. But then, yes, at a point of time, if you're doing a profession into it, or if you really want to excel into that field, when you go outside, when you step out of the house, and if you look at the world, how music is done and how it is produced, you should know certain technical things, what is there. And there it is a drawback to that person who has not learned music, because you will feel that you are lost over there. When they would speak certain things, you will not understand about the same, because we have some universal things which are discussed when you learn music, so which is followed in Bollywood music also. So there are a lot of things which you should know, which you will come to know through learning classical music also, or any other music also. So learning, I think, is much important. But if you are just doing it for your hobby or something wherein you don't want to get professional, you can go with it. There is no hard and fast rule to learn. But if you learn, it will be better for you to know what other people are talking, or if you're doing a profession into it, you will be able to understand other people, what they want you to do, or how music works into Bollywood or other industries. So that's why I feel learning is important. But you can sing perfectly, that's not an issue, you can sing. But the small things in music, like we call as cut notes, we have mind, there are a lot of things. So there are small beauty spots of a song which you want to know. If you all want to learn about that, for that you have to learn it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. As of now, there are no more questions.
Yeah.
So we can say that we can conclude with the Q&A session.
Yeah. So I'll just cover one last part about it, about voice modulation and techniques. Like if you speak about voice modulation, I would say, now for example, you take any particular song, if you take any ghazal, the voice modulation in ghazal is totally different. Whereas if you take any, Bollywood song, normal Bollywood song, the voice modulation in that is different. If you take any rap song, voice modulation is different into it. So every genre has different voice modulation. It is not the same thing. You cannot apply a same voice modulation for all kind of or different genres of music. So the main point about voice modulation, how to learn it and how to understand. You can check some videos on YouTube about voice modulation, because I won't be able to explain to you all this in very detail in this short period of time. But you all can check some tutorials about the same thing. Like every particular genre of music has a different way of singing it out. So that is basically voice modulation. Like if you go in Western music, you have operas, you have a lot of other things also. So over there is a different voice modulation. In Indian music, we have different voice modulation. So if you all want to learn about that type of particular genre, for ghazal, voice modulation, how to voice modulate using ghazals, how to voice modulate for Bollywood music. So you should know about that particular genre which you all want to know about, and then just check out for videos on YouTube. You all will find about the same. So yes, because it will be difficult for me to just go into details in short period of time. And techniques are the same thing that they will obviously show it to you in the video. And one more question is one more topic is how to overcome stage fear. uh, so friends, see, I will tell you all one thing. When I was very small, I don't know, but I was whether scared or no, but somewhere or the other, I used to have that kind of one, consciousness when I used to go on stage to perform, because I have been performing since my childhood, since very early age, because I was into the field of music only, and I used to, love singing and all and playing instruments. So stage fear, how to overcome? It every time you get on the stage, your stage fear becomes less. I feel this because first time you go, you'll be very much nervous. Second time you go, you're a little nervous. Next time you go, you're a bit confident. And slowly, the more you start participating on stage activities, I think so you all will understand that it's nothing. It is just you're going on the stage and just performing and coming. Because a lot of people get nervous just because they have to face the audience, what the audience will think, whether you will be good on the stage or no. So if you're going as a new person, or if you have already been on stage, I would just recommend you all one thing. Make sure that you're giving your best, whatever you're performing on the stage. Don't imagine that any crowd is sitting. Just imagine that that's like a mirror to you. Like, for example, if you're in the mirror in your house or in your bedroom, you would be very open and speak to yourself and, practice or rehearse whatever you want to present. So just make sure that there are no people. You just don't, pay attention to people if you're getting nervous looking at them. Just imagine that only you are there and there's a mirror in front of you, and just perform for yourself. If you all are really getting nervous looking at people or what people would say or this and that, if you overcome this, then you can start interacting with people also from the stage also, because there are certain acts or there are certain songs wherein you have to interact with people also. So try getting on stage as many times possible. That will help you all to reduce stage fear and be confident. And this confidence will come only not by going once or twice on the stage. As I said, it will come only when you all will try several times to get on the stage. And at the end of the day, if I tell you all, like, if you all go like around 10 or 15 times on stage, after that you will feel like very comfortable. You will feel like, anytime anyone can call you and you can just go and perform on the stage. So it becomes very convenient and confident for you. Okay. So just try to, participate or, take part in cultural activities and try to get on the stage to just break your stage fear. And one last thing that I will cover at the end and I'll conclude, that is how to learn music. One second. Yeah. So I will just tell you all how to learn music. And there are two modes over here now, because earlier it was not like, online thing was not very much into picture, but today online, because of pandemic and all, the online thing has come a lot into picture. Classes are happening online. So as I told one of the participants earlier only, if you all want to learn a particular, you want to learn singing, or you want to learn dance, or you all want to learn acting, or you all want to learn any other thing, not only music. If you all are having the basic knowledge about the same, then you all learn it online. If you all are new to it, make sure you all wait for some time. Or now things are opening up slowly. Take safety precautions, wear your mask, sanitize yourself, and everything. And you all can, go and try for offline classes also, because I feel practically doing things and physically doing things and doing it just virtually over the internet is totally different. It's a different experience. When you practically go and learn with your teacher or a tutor, he or she will be able to tell you what mistakes you are making. Because it's like, for example, now also we are having a virtual session over here. It is just a window. I cannot actively participate and know each other's reactions over here on this. So these are some of the barriers which happen when you learn music also, because your teacher will only tell you what he can see in the screen. He will not be able to tell you, like, you sit properly, this is the position, this and that. Because when you sit with him physically, or when you sit with her physically, that time only she will or he will be able to tell you that how you have to hold the instrument or how do you have to sing. Okay, singing, if you're asking me the same thing, maybe if you're going for one-to-one classes online, I can say it's fine. But if you're going in a group, it won't be good, because what happens most of the times, you mute. Because when it's a group of people who are learning singing or doing classes online, the sir sings something. Because I have come across one of my colleagues who told me he started learning singing just during from the pandemic time. And he was just telling me that the sir sings and we have to, just follow the sir and sing, like he waits for us. But in this, what happens is the sir is not able to hear your voice. So the problem over here that becomes is, you are not able to correct yourself. Whereas if you're physically sitting in the class, you will be able to, if you're doing something wrong, the sir can guide you and say, no, this has to be done like this. You're singing wrong over here. So there are some drawbacks about the same thing. So I feel, and nowadays it's going to start back. So you can just hold on for some time and try attending offline classes only. And if you're really like feeling bored or something, and if you have some basic knowledge about the instruments or anything, you all can go for online classes also. But my preference would be, because I have learned all the things offline. And online, I don't know, online, I think so I have done, because during pandemic time, during lockdown session, I had done a few online things. So only that was the only time. But mostly I try to be, practical in nature, because that helps you in knowing the other person and you can just guide that person in a proper way. So that is it. Yeah. We are having one question over here. Yeah. If you're,
So,
you can just read
participant
the...
asked about your opinion on autotune.
Okay, autotune is something that is basically used in Bollywood and everywhere. I think so. Everyone uses autotune nowadays who are into editing or software editing, or I mean like music editing or processing or music production. Autotune, what is autotune basically? Autotune is used when you are not able to hit your notes properly. It is basically used for singers. For example, if you're singing a song and if you know that you're going off somewhere, autotune helps you to correct it and make you sound proper. In the sense, it helps you in pushing that note to the proper point. If for a particular verse or a note, if you have gone down. So I feel autotune is not wrong as such. It has to be used, and it is used in Bollywood music in all the songs. Trust me, in all the songs we can see autotune. You all listen to a song in a proper, like if you listen with proper listening, if you have knowledge about it, you can catch and you can know where autotune is used. It is used in all the songs. There is no songs when there is no autotune used, because what happens when a human sings, there is certain kind of mastering which is done, for his voice somewhere or the other, that there are some problems into it. It is not that it's always done. Okay, auto tune is only used when you're doing studio recordings, when you're doing live performances and all. That time, no, that time there is no auto tuning. That's why if you go to see, like, if you say Arjit Singh or any other singer, Shreya Ghoshal, anyone, so these people are very good. I'm not saying they're head or something, but yes, but if you see their live performances, you will find them a little shaky. They don't hit the notes properly and all. Why? Because that is live performance and there is no auto tune. Whereas if you listen to the same studio version song of that from the movie, you'll find it like very perfect. Why? Because that is done through auto tuning. So auto tune has to be used, and it has to be used only for a certain limit. It shouldn't be used like always forever. Like, there are some singers in Bollywood who are not at all singers, but using auto tune they have produced their own songs. So I don't want to take their names, you all must be knowing them. So it shouldn't be done like that. But yes, if you're a proper singer and sometimes you make some mistakes, you can use auto tune. That's there.
Thank you, sir. And on a concluding note, one of the participants are asking you to sing a few lines of your favorite song, and we
Okay.
can conclude with the Q&A session.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just here in my bedroom, and I'm just having my keyboard over here arranged. You all can see. So yeah, so I'll just sing a few lines for you. Okay, this is one of my favorite songs. So just randomly came in my mind. So I'll just sing this song. The name of the song is Tumse Hi, and the song is from the movie Jab We Met. It's a very beautiful composition. ना है ये पाना ना खोना ती है मेरा ना होना जाने क्यों होना ती है तुमसे ही दिल होता है तुमसे ही शाम आती है तुमसे ही हर घड़ी सांस आती है जिंदगी बहलाती है तुमसे ना है ये पाना ना खोना ती है कैसे बताए क्यों तुझको चाहे यारा बता ना पाए बातें दिलों की देखो जो बाकी आंखें तुझे समझाए तू जाने ना तू जाने ना तू जाने ना तू जाने ना महफिल में तेरी हम ना रहे जो गम तो नहीं है, गम तो नहीं है, किससे हमारे नजदीकों से गम तो नहीं है, गम तो नहीं है। कितनी दफा सुबह को मेरी तेरे आंगन में बैठे मैंने शाम किया, चन्ना मेरे या मेरे या, चन्ना मेरे या मेरे या, चन्ना मेरे या बेनिया, ओ पिया चन्ना मेरे या मेरे या, चन्ना मेरे या मेरे या, चन्ना मेरे या मेरे या बेनिया, ओ पिया। कैसी तेरी खुद गर्जी, ना धूप छुने ना छाओ, कैसी तेरी खुद गर्जी, किसी और चले ना पाओ, मस्त मौला मस्त कलंदर, तू हवा का एक बवंडर, मुझके यूं अंदर ही अंदर क्यों रह गया रे कबीरा, मान जा रे फकीरा, जा आजा मुझको पुकारे तेरी परछाइयां रे कबीरा, मान जा रे फकीरा, आजा आजा मुझको पुकारे तेरी परछाइयां। Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can see a lot of comments coming here. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It was a very mesmerizing performance,
Yeah.
and you have a very melodious voice. Thank you for attending to our participants' queries. And I now hand over the session to Ms. Muktali Kukarkar.
Thank you, Aniket. It was an informative session along with a mind-blowing performance. Participants, kindly note that e-certificates will be mailed to your respective email ID on filling up the feedback form. The link of the same is provided in the chat box. Last but not the least, now I request Assistant Professor Mr. Mayuresh Ursul to propose the vote of thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Muktali. It's indeed the vote of thanks for first and foremost of this web, Mr. Niket, the musician in my and next of Sridham. I take to thank our principal Prita and our vice principal De Silva for constant support. All I also of Vidya Vikas Mandi, constant motivation. Winner of the cultural college, Miss Preksha in Commerce for our thank and appreciate efforts of Miss Muktin Professor in Commerce coordinating activity. Very important. I wholeheartedly thank all participation in one and all. Over to you, Muktali.
Yes, thank you one and all for attending the webinar.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Have a nice day.